would say that what we see in terms of the homeless population really are kind of two different groups of homeless people. I think we see a group of people that I think of as chronically homeless, typically have some mental health challenges and have dogs and typically live in the same kind of area, corridor, neighborhoods. The second group is really more of a transient group, and they tend to be younger, and it seems to be more of a lifestyle choice. And they're not always homeless. It might be just sort of an alternative way of living. So for instance, we have a group here in New Orleans that lives on a school bus, and they have dogs, and they move the school bus around periodically, but we do get calls about like, oh, there's this group of young people with dogs on the school bus, we think it's a problem. And so we go out actually and we'll investigate any call that comes into us about the condition of an animal, regardless if the person has a home or not. And we work with people because our goal is to help them provide the best care for their animals. And then if we see that they're unable to, or that the animal is being abused or neglected, then we certainly will remove the animal. But our goal is not to remove animals as the first step, because often, and particularly for that second group of homeless people that are really more transient, kind of alternative lifestyle people, oftentimes their pets are in great shape. And so, you know, when the police sometimes will arrest them and they'll call us to come and pick up the dogs, you know, they have veterinary records. You know, they often, you know, have taken really great care of their pets. It just happens that, you know, they have broken the law in some other way and happen to have this dog, and so, you know, we will provide care for that dog until the person can come back and get them. There are occasions that that's not the case and that the animal is not being properly cared for. In New Orleans, we have some laws around standards of care, and so that's really what's important to us, is that if the person is meeting those standards of care, so meaning the animal does have protection from the weather. And so again, for homeless people, that's a challenge, but it's something we can help them with, getting a dog house or a crate, making sure that when the weather gets cold, they have blankets or ways to insulate that housing for the pet. You know, when it's raining, and we do have large periods of rainy weather, that the animal is not outside, you know, in the rain, but is protected from the elements. You know, that they look like they're getting good nutrition, and that they're getting appropriate veterinary care. And that can look very different. You know, I don't know that the standard of care that I provide for my dog would necessarily be the standard, you know, that's in the law. We have to stick with, you know, the minimum standard in the law is that animals are vaccinated, that, you know, they're free of injury, free of pain, there's no obvious signs of, you know, medical issues. And we often will work with them through our clinic to provide those things free or at a really low cost.
And what about housing? When somebody comes to adopt an animal from you, I know that you do background checks essentially to make sure that their housing allows for this animal to be a part of their home and family. Do you come up against housing issues with pit bull type dogs or bully breeds within New Orleans?
So yes, in New Orleans, I would say one of the primary challenges for animal welfare is housing. You know, we live in a community that has a large number of renters versus property owners. And even property owners, I think, run into some of the challenges around homeowners insurance. And most of it, while it's not specific to pit bulls, is weight specific. So we see a lot of limitations on renting with a dog that's bigger than 30 pounds, you know, or a homeowner's insurance that won't cover, you know, a large breed dog and there's 15 different breeds on them, you know, and interestingly, pit bull is not technically a breed, and it's difficult to even identify and say this really is a pit bull. You know, it could be a mix of 10 other things that just happens to have a big head, but, you know, it becomes a big challenge. And so it's the number one reason that we have animals surrendered to us is because of housing. And I think it is, again, you know, a big challenge with placement of animals is, you know, ensuring that the person is going to be able to keep this animal in their current housing and if their housing changes.